Hello, everyone. This is Monsef Afqir, and thank you so much for joining us in this new call of Your Divine Uniqueness. Very happy to have you with us, as always, whether on the live call or on the replay. And also really excited that Rita Strough is with us for the first time on the show. Uh, really love her energy and the love and authenticity that she puts in the work that she does, the message that she shares, and also the healing and and guidance that she shares with others. And yeah, you will feel that as we move through our call, and and also we'll have how to say. So firstly, we will be talking about duality, bridging duality within the self, and also how this is reflected in the outer world, and how we can bring both together the human aspects and the divine aspects, because many times we can struggle with that. We either feel like stuck in the 3D world, or maybe we feel like running away toward the spiritual or the divine aspects of ourselves, and giving up on, maybe wanting to give up on the 3D experience. So here we'll be talking about bringing those together, so we can really create from a sovereign state of being where everything and anything is possible. So that will be very, very inspiring. And also we will have a Q&A where Rita will be answering your questions, and she may also be channeling, because she is a channel. So for that, as always, you can raise your hand by pressing react, then raise hand on Zoom. If you are on the phone, you can press *9, and also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And for those of you who are new to Rita, she is a conscious channel, Reiki master, and spiritual teacher. And she channels wisdom, information, healing, attunements, and meditations to support those on a spiritual path leading to realization of the divine within. So Rita, welcome to the show. Very happy to have you with us.
Oh, thank you, Monsef. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored that I was invited to join you today, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation and connecting with everyone who's tuning in right now. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, wonderful. And yeah, so in the beginning, I would love if you can give us an introduction about yourself, and also the work you are offering.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I am a Jersey girl. If you're not familiar with the United States, I live in New Jersey, born and raised a Jersey girl. I was raised in a large Italian American Catholic family, and I used to ask a lot of questions that nobody seemed to want to answer. From a very young age, I used to feel that there was something more to life than what we see on the surface. And I was interested in things like past lives and astral projection, things like that. So obviously these things uh, they don't go well with Catholicism. So I found myself moving further away from the church, and really in my life growing up, I made a lot of mistakes, as we all do, growing and learning who I am. I struggled with that for a long time. Who am I? Why am I here? But it was in my early 40s. I'm 60 now, so it was about, yeah, like 15, 16 years ago now. I started to have what were called symptoms of awakening, which is crazy. But, I was working in corporate America at the time. I was going to school at night for my bachelor's degree. I had two children, a husband, a home, all of those responsibilities. And I started to feel like, what is this all about? Why do we have a life if all we're doing is just rushing through every single day? Was a rush to get the kids to school and to get to work on time, and rush home, try to find something for dinner, get them bathed in bed, and try to get my homework done. And it was just this mad dash every single day. And I started to question that. Why are we here? Why do we have a life if all we're going to do is rush around and really just walk through life with these blinders on? I started to feel like there was something missing and I couldn't figure out what that thing was. So, did have a couple of different things that happened to me in those years as I was beginning to question why am I here? Who am I? I decided to start a practice of meditation. Just I thought to myself, I have a basement. I'm going to, and I had an old rickety old couch down there. I said, let me go buy some new pillows and a blanket and some CDs of some nice relaxing music. And I'll just try to settle my brain and figure out, what is going on with me. I just couldn't settle my brain. So I did. I started meditating, and it was during one of those meditations I had been doing for months that I had an experience with Archangel Michael. I know this sounds insane, but believe me, at the time, I was kind of just wondering what was going on with me. I didn't understand a lot about spirituality or angels or anything like that. I just had this kind of a heightened intuition, I guess. There were times in my life where I could, think about somebody and then the phone would ring and it was them, things like that, where you have this like knowing. But when I was in my basement that one night and I was meditating, I used to have a little table with a tiny little lamp. So we had overhead fluorescent lights that I did not turn on. I kept my little lamp on and I was doing my meditation. And at one point, I thought someone had turned the big lights on in the basement because I saw this bright light through my closed eyes. I saw like a bright light over my head. And I opened my eyes just getting ready to yell, "Hey, turn that light out." And but the lights were out and it was just my little tiny lamp. So I'm like, what is going on? I closed my eyes and with my eyes closed, I could see above me a disc of white light. And through this like vision, I started to see the beginning, the formation of like an arm and a torso. It was my perspective was like from the floor looking up. So I could see something being formed, shaped in this light. And it looked like an arm and a chest, and I could see like a cape. And so all of a sudden, as I'm wondering, what is this I'm looking at? This being, like I could see the underside of a chin. The being turned his face down to look at me, and his hair was like kind of blowing up in an invisible wind. And he was the most strikingly beautiful being I'd ever seen. And I knew instantly it was Archangel Michael. I just knew it intuitively, his face, the way he looked down at me. And I was just in awe. I felt myself go like, oh my God, like, what is this? And then in that moment, I saw him take his hand and pull down from this disc of light a sword that was made of light. A sword of light came out of this like plane, came down, and then he took put it upside down and he drove it through my crown. He slammed it in there and said, I drive fear from you. And I felt my whole body shake. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? In the next second, I look up and now he has this earthen jug, like a big jug, and he's pouring liquid gold into my head. I felt it go down into my body, come back up, and then spill over the outside of me. And then the vision was over. So I was pretty shaken up when this happened because it felt so incredible. It was like an incredible rush of everything down, but I still remember it clear as day. And I remember my good friend Anne, she's the one who kind of introduced me to angels at one point. I got in touch with her and I said, I had this experience. What do you think happened? She goes, I don't know. At the time, we had been practicing playing with angel cards and things like oracle cards. And we eventually started a little radio show called Talking Angels that we did for a while, where we would take callers and like that. But we actually had this guest on the show who was from England. Her name was Diana Cooper. And when we were interviewing her, she was talking about, she said, well, I was in the bath one day and my angels appeared. And I was like, wait, hold on. Your angels appeared while you were in the bathtub? Weren't you embarrassed? And she said, oh, no, dear, I saw them in my mind's eye. And that was a new concept to me, my mind's eye. I was like, oh, I said, well, can I tell you what happened to me? So I told her this story and I said, what do you think that means? And she said, oh, dear, he was clearing you and filling you with wisdom. I was like, what? But after that experience, honestly, my whatever you want to call these gifts just began to open up for me. So, in connecting with angels, I moved through a lot of self-healing. Um, working through things like self-doubt, trying to instill love in myself, love for myself, trying to just overcome feelings of inadequacy, feelings of worthlessness. There was so much there to process. And my journey was amazing because I think, and I don't know if anyone out there has gone through this themselves, but when you awaken spiritually, it feels like the world just opened up to you and you begin to get information flooding to you from so many different directions, different teachers, books, audios, podcasts. Um, People come into your life and begin to offer you more wisdom, more teachings, more avenues to explore. My interests went from quantum mechanics to sacred geometry to crystals and everything. Everything just was opening up for me. So it was quite a journey of discovery for who am I and what is going on with me. I had been laid off from my job. I had an experience where I went for a walk with my dog. This was even, I think, before the meditation part. And I had this experience where I was just like yelling at God, like, what do you want from me? I can't go back to this corporate America life. That's just not who I am. I always felt out of place. I was successful and I was, a hard worker, but it wasn't bringing me the kind of joy that I really knew life could bring me. So, um, I had this opportunity really to take a step back and explore who I am, why am I here? In those days when I was awakening, everything just seemed to flow naturally, one thing after the other. And little by little, this world of angels opened up to me. Um, I was at a book signing with a bunch of people after we saw someone speak, and standing in line, I struck up a conversation with the person behind me. And we were just talking, and he said, "Do you think you could connect with my wife who passed away?" And I said, "I don't know." And in my head, I'm hearing, "Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can." So I used to hear in my head the prompts, these like voices. It sounded like my own voice speaking to me. And it was like, "Tell him to email you. Tell him to email you." I was like, "Yeah, okay, here's my email. Email me your question." And in that little moment, when David emailed me and asked me to connect with his deceased wife, Irene, as soon as I opened up his email and started reading his question, I felt these chills come over me. And it was as if she was standing there knocking on my head, like I got something to say. And lo and behold, now I'm bringing through deceased people. So I'm like, what am I? Am I an angel communicator? Am I psychic? Am I a medium? What is this? And I was holding group classes. Again, all of this was kind of orchestrated by spirit because I don't know that I would have done it on my own. It was different people coming and saying, you need to put people together in a room. You need to do this. You need to do that. And little by little, I did what was kind of presented to me. And I just couldn't believe how much I opened up to this. So I had an experience also where within a group of people, I felt some like I was like working with angel cards and things like that, providing readings to people. But I felt this other energy kind of coming in and wanting to speak through me. And that again was another one of these moments where I'm like, what is going on? In my head, I was hearing, pick up this crystal, hold this, hold that crystal. So I picked up the crystals it told me to hold. And all of a sudden, I felt my awareness, Rita, kind of minimize, just like you click the minimize button on your Windows to minimize a screen down to the bottom. Something was like minimizing my awareness down almost to like my baby toe. And meanwhile, this other energy kind of came in and pulled itself into my body. I could feel it adjusting my vocal cords, my posture. With my eyes closed, I could see the people in the room. And this being started talking to the group that was with us. And in my head, I'm down here. I'm kind of asking the same, like, who is this? And in my head, I heard, I am Ashtar, or you can call me Ashtar for now. I had no idea who Ashtar was. So as we progressed, and everybody kind of clued into what was going on here, they honestly, the people that were with me were there for a reason. They kind of recognized that I was channeling somebody. So when it closed out, I felt this Ashtar being when he was done sort of pull up and out. But my friend Carol came over and kind of held me. I later up Ashtar and found out there's some being called Ashtar of the High Command that other people channel. And I was like, again, I'm like, what is going on? What is this all about? But as it relates to who I am now and what I do, what I can tell you is I am a conscious channel, which means when I breathe and set the intention and raise my vibrational frequency, I connect with different dimensions. And there are definitely different kinds of frequencies for angels, for the astral plane where deceased loved ones are. To connect with an individual person, it's almost like we create a merged space within which there's access to that person's guides and angels and others. There's the ascended master realms. They have like a whole other frequency to get into. Um, it's just it's incredible and amazing. And as an open channel to the divine, I've been given wisdom downloads. So oftentimes in those earlier years, again, when I was holding these group gatherings, sometimes I would just sit it down at my computer and say, what do you want to teach today? And they might give me one word, and I would type one word on an open Word document, and then this whole message would come through. And then if I would print that off and take it with me to the class that night and start reading it, in the midst of reading it, my body would feel that same feeling of being entered by other beings, and they would be speaking. And it was always high vibrational beings of light. I had one experience once where I felt something was less than a high vibrational frequency, and I recognized it because it had like a, you know how when you meet somebody that you just, oh, they're not very nice. It was a kind of a not real nice feeling. I was like, oh my God. So I immediately called in Archangel Michael. He ushered them out. And I learned about things like protecting your space, creating a safe and sacred space, setting intention. Um, One of the concepts that came into me very early on was this idea that we are both human and divine, and the human and divine create the whole being. This was not something that I thought of or created. It was a divinely inspired idea that came down and wanted expression. And I believe this happens to all of us. So where I am today is working as a spiritual teacher. I do one-on-one sessions with individuals. I do small group gatherings. I've remained kind of small. I don't know that I want to get huge, but the work itself is transformational. It's transformational work. So as I've worked with different people over the years, I've noticed how they have evolved and changed, not just because of the work that we're doing, but because of the work their soul is doing with the help of various teachers, and even your own higher self can help usher you along that way. So in my present uh, incarnation, the way I am right now, I feel like I have come to a point where I understand more about who I am than I ever have before. But I'm still me, and I still have fears. Right before this show, I was laying down on the floor here in my center, just calling in all my guides and angels and saying, "Please be with me today." No matter how many times I've done this, every time it happens, every single time I'm able to connect with somebody's loved one, that blows my mind too. I mean, the way they come in and the personality. And again, not every being who's on the other side has the same capabilities. Some beings are better at working through a medium than others. I'm learning that too. I've learned there's a language of spirit. The language of spirit is symbolic. They use images, things that are familiar to me that I can decipher in order to convey messages. A lot of it is almost like parables or analogies or stories so that you can understand what the greater message or meaning is. So it's amazing. And I just feel so honored to be able to do this. And for a long time, I kind of felt like, oh, who am I to be to do the unworthiness thing, the self-worth thing kicks back in again. You're like, who am I to be channeling beings like Jesus, which did come Jesus came through a couple of times. Uh, I've channeled Ganesh, Kali, Lakshmi, Kuan Yin. I've channeled elemental energies, like the element water spoke through
Yeah.
me for people. It's just the animal totem animals, um, even vibrational frequency up or down that spectrum. So when you go to a lower vibrational frequency, that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means a bit of a slower vibrational frequency. There's archetypal information available at different frequencies. One time I channeled the Norse god Heimdall, who again, I did not know who it was. His name came through as like Hemstall or something. I couldn't quite get it. See him, and his message was incredible. It was about sounding the horn for some Ragnarok. I had never read about that before. I didn't even know who I was connecting with until I Googled, started searching for something. I knew he was a Norse god, but what is his name? I found like a children's book that had a little cartoon picture. I'm like, that's the guy, and that there was his name. Turns out he's the guy who guards the mythological bridge between heaven and earth, and they sound the trumpets when it's time for the great awakening to happen. And for a very long time, I have sensed or known that something major is in the works. We all talk about energies, what's coming onto the planet right now. We are definitely in the midst of a major frequency upgrade. Whatever's going on right now, they always said, buckle up, the road is going to get very bumpy. It's going to get worse before it gets better. And we were built for this. So this is another reminder for all of us to just kind of take deep breaths, relax, and know that we are in good hands. We are being guided, and we're going to get there. Boy, I just rambled for a really long time. I'm sorry. Did you want to ask any questions, Montse? Or was I just going on and on?
Beautiful. That was a beautiful story and journey you had. And yeah, so the last message you just shared right now about like a big shift is happening, but there might be some
Yes.
challenges. And so how duality like affects this experience, like the great awakening we are experiencing, and how are we seeing it right now, and how, like, after the awakening, how our perspective and experience of duality will become.
Oh, that's a very good question. So, in the present moment, what we are learning is, first of all, to awaken. So, first, it's like what happened to me 15 years ago. There's this kind of a slumber that we're all walking around in. We think that this is our one and only reality, and so we get caught up in it. And it's a very human get caught up in the distractions of day-to-day life, right? So when you think about duality, what does that really mean? This is a world of contrast. The earth is a realm of light and dark, beginnings, endings. Everything here has a life cycle. So there's a dualistic aspect to the self that is expressing itself in human form at this time. So if you're alive on earth right now, you chose to come in, you have this built-in kind of forgetfulness when you are born here and you have to acclimate to being in a body, to being human, to being alive in a place where you have to consume food to live. There's things that are very animal about being a human being. And that's what kind of nature to show us too, this idea of, wow, we exist here today as a human being, but also we are a divine being. We are an etheric being. We are an etheric being in a human form having this experience here. But this whole idea of the shift coming or what's going to happen with our perspectives, it's almost like once you wake up and you realize that there is more to yourself than just what you see in the mirror and the life experience that you're having in your day-to-day job and family, when you realize that there is more to you than just that, you start seeking. And when you seek, you find. You just do. The deeper you go, the more information you find. As you come into contact with the truth of your divine nature, what you find is that Oh, your thoughts create your reality, right? Your perspective is reality. So two people could be having the same exact life experience, but their perceptions of it could be radically different. And one is in a state of bliss and one is in a state of agony. So we have to reconcile within ourselves who we are really in totality, make peace with the part of ourselves that is always going to be mired in earthly distraction and life as it is here, and remember who we are, the permanent part of ourselves, the eternal part of ourselves, that consciousness that precedes birth and goes on after death. That's the real you. That's the real us. That is us. And in reality, we're all fractals of some greater consciousness. So we are all one. We are all connected. And when you are a human being and you can make that uh, understanding dawn in your mind for a brief moment, you can transcend what is happening in your earthly world. And this is what I was saying when I was nervous about even just coming on the show, taking a moment to still yourself, to just cut out all distractions, to go within, to come inside to this place that is home when you're no longer in a body. It takes practice, though. I think that's why they call it a spiritual practice because you have to want it, you have to recognize it, and then you have to work on it. It doesn't happen overnight, although I'm sure for some people it does. But as you get better and better at recognizing who you are, knowing that you're not just a human being, but you're also this divine being, you can combine those two things and then live from the place that knows it is eternal, that knows that there is no such thing as time, and you begin to live present moment. There's a lot of people who've done a lot of work on living in the now, present moment awareness. But this is where the rubber hits the road. It's in the present moment that you are having your life experience. Everything that's happening is happening in this very, very moment. So in this moment, if there's something that's causing you pain, you know, stop, notice it, dive into it. Ask yourself these questions. Why am I reacting this way? Or where is this pain coming from? Is it a physical pain? If it is, you can use that as a point of contact to go into the body. Because the body itself has its own intelligence. It's its own being, if you will. So, your consciousness is riding around in this beautiful form called a body, but it has its own set of instructions. We all know this. The body has a miraculous way of healing itself. There's processes going on right now in our bodies that we're not even consciously aware of. It has its own intelligence. It knows what to do. It's kind of like I had a cat named Jasmine once, and she was a stray that I took in, and she was pregnant. She knew exactly what to do when it was time to give birth. Nobody had to tell her anything. Her instinct kicked in, and she knew exactly what to do to give birth to these four healthy kittens. We're kind of that way too. So, this shift that's going on in our consciousness, becoming aware of ourselves in a dualistic world, is that we recognize that we have both of these things going on at the same time, and you learn to find the beauty and the magic in each part of yourself. In other words, you don't chastise yourself for being a human, for making a mistake, or for, whatever, going off your diet, or whatever human beings do, saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. You're a human being. You're fallible. You're gonna make mistakes. The thing that you learn as you start integrating is you see yourself through the eyes of compassion and you go, that's okay. I don't have to hold on to that forever. I can apologize if I've really hurt someone, but I can let myself off the hook too. I don't need to hold and carry all this burden anymore. There's just this really cool integration that happens. And when your perception shifts to recognize that you are both human and divine, you definitely have more compassion for yourself, for your own failings and mistakes. You have more appreciation for the physical form, for the body itself. And then you'll realize, you know what? I need to start listening to it. If it's tired, sleep. If it's hungry, give it food. Thirsty, give it something to drink. What does the body want to do though? It also wants movement. It doesn't want to sit around. It needs movement. It likes to be busy. It likes to be active. So when you start to and like you begin to kind of see your life here from this perspective that's more holistic, that says, I can forgive myself for the things I've done as a human that I'm not proud of. I can also celebrate the things that are uniquely human about me that people find charming or whatever. The body itself, again, you see it as your partner. And then there's this, divine side of you that's constantly wanting to create. Like we come here to be creators. That's why we're here. Our divine consciousness is coming into human form because this is a place where things get made. They become materialistic, right? It is something that we come here to do. We come here to put things into form. It comes from the thoughts and the ideas, and it just trickles down and it becomes something. Like somebody had to think of this microphone before it could exist here. Someone had to visualize it, imagine it, figure the electronics, what it's going to. Somebody had to do that first before this thing was physically created. It's the same with us. Our divine side is constantly wanting to create. And what does it want to create? Whatever it wants to create. Mostly it's beauty. It loves things that are beautiful. It wants to create beauty. And we can create beauty in a million different ways. We can create beauty by caring for a loved one, by making our kids their peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for lunch. We create beauty in the way that we assist others in helping them live their lives to their fullest potential. And if you'll notice, every time you do something good for somebody else, you feel great. You do. I mean, we all benefit when we're in service to one another in that way. And so there's this, again, it's like a holistic viewpoint. The perspective shifts from it's just me, I'm all alone, and nobody's helping me, or, I'm a victim and this happens to me and now I'm scarred for life. It shifts from that powerlessness and hopelessness to a state of compassion for what you've experienced, because you start to see yourself as this is just one life of the lives I have lived and will live, right? This is just one life. I can have compassion for this person that's here right now, this me that is here now. And I can see it from this other perspective. And I recognize that all of the things that I'm going through, that I'm learning, they're all helping my soul evolve. We're all here for this spiritual evolution too, to take us up to another level. I spoke earlier about connecting with the ascended master realm. These are people, beings. Some of them maybe did walk the earth, maybe didn't, but ascended master energy is the energy of one who has overcome the world, meaning we recognize to the point where we can now master our interaction with physical matter. We can make miracles happen. I know. I hope this isn't blowing your mind or anything, but this is kind of like what it's about. It's about you got to, first of all, number one, wake up. Just wake up. If you're not happy, if you're just kind of like going through the motions, snap out of it. It's time to snap out of it and say, who am I? What am I doing here? What is the point of all of this? And you'll get your answers. For me, it was a process that took time, but now I feel like I've arrived at that understanding. And it's almost like, what was it? The Buddha said, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Like you're still going to be you. You still have to put food on the table and take a shower, call your mom, whatever you got to do, you still do it, but you're coming at life from a perspective of the big picture, which is I realize this life is temporary. I'm here to create. What am I creating? What am I creating with my energy and love? If you're creating more misery for yourself, then you have to wake up and realize that that's not what you're here to create. You're here to create something that gives you joy, because in you bringing joy to yourself, you're bringing joy to other people. That's lifting everybody up. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does absolutely, and I really love it how you describe that. Um, like
Hmm.
that we can live our life in one hand, honoring our human aspects, having compassion, and also celebrating it, and from the other hand, remembering that we are that eternal self. Because that aspects can bring a lot of relief when we know that we know our abilities, we know um, the possibilities and the things that we can create. It really brings some relief,
Yes.
and also maybe at some, especially when how to say, there is more confusion, or the situation is more challenging. It's like it brings more hope for us, and
Right.
it helps us to shift our focus to what we want to create.
Exactly. Yeah. When situations are challenging, and I think this is where, again, I have this place here that I called divine being spiritual fitness. That is also a concept that came to me, just the same as we are human and divine and we're a whole. This idea of spiritual fitness, it comes from just like you go to the gym, you work out, you strengthen your body to get your body strong. What are you doing for your spirit to make it strong? Well, spiritual fitness is just this exact thing. It's preparing yourself through things like practices like meditation, breath work, prayer, whatever you want to do that gets you centered and reconnected to the divine, eternal, limitless, powerful soul that you are. Whatever method you use to get there, that's spiritual fitness. Because when you return again and again and again, it's like the gym. It's like going to the gym. If you stop going, you're gonna lose some of that strength. You're gonna, you can feel it in your body. You're just not as strong or as an energetic. It's the same thing with your spiritual self. You need to incorporate some moments of stillness, of peace, of quiet, of contemplation, meditation, walks in nature. I think one of the best prayers you can do or meditations you can do is just literally go outside and observe anything in nature, whether it's the structure of a leaf, a flower, watching bees work a flower, getting down to the ground and watching ants crawl around. And then you realize, wait a minute, there's other beings alongside of me having lives just like I am, but they're in their world. The bee is in the bee world, the ant is in the ant world. What does their world look like? How do they operate? And then you're filled with awe and just the magic of life itself dawns on you. And you have these like moments of clarity where you go, wow, okay, so if nature can orchestrate the perfection that is how bees pollinate, flowers need bees to pollinate, like all the balances and the way that nature works so cooperatively. I am not separate from nature. I am a part of it. And in that moment, you can have a moment of clarity and go, so then I have instinct and I am fully supported. And everything I need is here for me as well. I'm not alone. I'm not abandoned. I'm not without support. It's all around me. I just have to notice it, relax into it, and move more into that instinctual feeling that comes from using your intuition. Growing that bond is important. So, yeah, I would say your spiritual fitness matters just as much as your physical fitness. And making time to connect with the divine within brings you closer to being prepared for those times when things go sideways. And instead of reacting like, ah, instead of having a full out panic attack, you pull it inside and you go, this is happening for me. Okay. What's this mean? If you can't logically or intellectually come up with the answer, take it inside and let it just sit with it and allow your intuition, your divine essence to kind of inform what's going on here. If you don't know what to do next, again, just take it inside, sit with it in silence, see what seems to happen for you next. Go with what is coming along for you. Move with the flow, not against it. That took a lot for me to learn that too. Always trying to force things to happen and they're not happening. And then you get frustrated and irritated. When you go, just take your hands off the wheel and go, okay, you drive. Higher energy, higher self, divine self. I want you to take the wheel. I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do. When you let go and then you trust, you have to trust, that's when things start to move in the direction that you want. And it's helpful to offer a roadmap. If there's something that you really want to do, instead of thinking of all the reasons you can't do it, just put it out there and say, yeah, this or something better. It's on its way to me. Thanks. That's all. This or something better. It's on its way to me. Thanks. And we're going to figure this out together. I'm going to be led there. I know this is going to happen. I know it as true as the sun's going to rise tomorrow. When you get that tuned into it, you will. It almost seems like it's magical. I think it is, but it's the laws of the universe and it's you recognizing who you are, learning how to modulate between these two parts of yourself and allowing the best part of you to come forward in that moment.
Very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rita. That was very
Yeah.
inspiring. And also a reminder to our audience that if you want to ask your question, You can raise your hand by pressing react or reaction, then raise hand on Zoom. And also you can type your questions on the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And yeah, so before we continue, so yeah, we have Tanya. She rose her hand. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hello, Rita. Hello, Monsef. I don't really
Hi,
know
Tanya.
which
Hi.
question I can ask. Um, going through metamorphosis myself and feel better from today, like in the morning I woke up and decided to feel better. I just thought to myself, why shouldn't I feel better? If if I create my own reality, then I just should believe that everything will be right and everything will be fine. So, but because I had a dream which seemed to me like a dream from either parallel life or previous life, I have no idea. So, I have a question actually, because I was told that I have two parallel lives when myself is not in a very good, like fortunate, either family or political condition. And I
Yeah.
think to myself, does it affect me in this life? Do I sometimes feel sad? And is it because I can feel myself in another life? Is it somehow connected to my current life or nothing really, or I don't feel it at all?
That's a very good question. Thank you, Tanya. Well, I'm glad that you brought up this idea of parallel lives because again, another one of these epiphanies or ideas that came to me is that we are multi-dimensional beings, right? So if you think about what I was saying earlier, that when I channel, I go to these different frequencies to
Mm-hmm.
connect dimensionally with different beings, especially like if you say people who've passed away, they're in a different kind of a dimension of reality, right? Not saying that they're all there, but that's where I connect with them. But as a multidimensional being, I do believe that we are having experiences right now in other dimensions. And I believe that they are connected. So I agree with you there. I think that if you suddenly find yourself in some kind of a mood or an emotional state that doesn't seem to have any rational explanation for what's happening in this dimension of reality, it's most likely connected to something that's happening to you on another level. Which again, the idea of meditation, contemplation,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I do my work with angels, I always ask the angels to work with me at all levels of my being. So that would
Uh-huh.
be mental, emotional, astral, physical, at all levels of my being, in all dimensions of time and space. So wherever the expression of me, my consciousness happens to be, let's kind of pull it all together in this moment and minister to me, the all of me in this moment. So that's something I would recommend to you too. If you
Mm-hmm.
do feel that you have this thing that keeps recurring in your mind or a dream about a parallel life, you can call on your angels and just say, "Can you please hold space for my dimensional self to be
Mm-hmm.
held in its entirety and minister to me, attune me to your frequency of joy, allow me to experience a release of whatever is causing me pain in whatever layer of my being I'm experiencing it, so that I can heal in this moment." There's people who have gone even for like past life regression. And when you do any kind of work that brings you to past lives,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like you can go back and you can heal something from the past and bring that healing forward into this life. So there's nothing to say that you can't go forward laterally, up, down, in
Yes.
all directions to work with these aspects of the self. That's a great question. Oh my God, thank you for asking that.
No,
Yeah, that
it
makes
just
perfect sense
came
to
to my
me.
mind today. I thought, well, I wonder if because it is me. So if it is the same kind of, even if it is fracture of me, me, divine me, I cannot not feel it, what is going on with me in other lives. Is it not so?
That's right.
I thought to myself,
That's right.
sometimes, I feel sad and I don't know why I feel sad. And I think to myself now, maybe I feel what she feels in another life. or he feels, whatever it is.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
there's also,
Cool.
if you want to consider this, that because we are all connected, you know how people who are highly empathic,
Mm.
the empaths of this world, can really feel what other people are feeling,
Yeah.
and they have to learn how to kind of shield or turn that off sometimes so they can just get through their day. Some people are really open and they feel it all. So again, and I feel this too, to be honest with you, when I do some meditations or I want to send up healing and light to the world, I'm drawn in my
Yeah.
energy to conflict zones, people who are refugees, people who are imprisoned, people who have all of their whatever was important to them taken away, those who are suffering in that way. I begin to connect with that energy, and then I fill them with what I have. I start to send out or try to use that grid around the earth to sort of send that light to those other places. So you may feel sad because you're empathic and you're connecting to the suffering of others in another way. There's a part of you that's really connecting to that group consciousness, that the grid. I
Yeah.
call it a grid because in my perception, it looks almost like a grid of light that surrounds the planet. And each person
Mm-hmm.
is almost like a point on that grid. So when you connect with it and send your energy out to it, you can target a specific area, or you can just send it to the grid of light and allow all this healing intentions that you're sending up to affect those who are in need of it right now. Like who needs, it's like when your car runs out of gas and you have to go get it filled up. So if
Yeah.
I'm feeling really, really good and I'm feeling very high vibrating, and when I do these meditations and we get really high vibrating with a group, even uh, these are channeled guided meditations, it'll ask us as a group to send this light to these places or to send it to the grid. And so we're almost like generating more positive love energy and feeding it out to the rest of humanity, or even to the earth itself, to the all sentient beings on the earth herself. You know, there's just so much we can do, but that's just a brilliant concept. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Tanya. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you talking
clearing
about
it
that.
for me. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Montsev. Thank you, Rita.
Yeah, thank you very much. You're
Thank you. Thank you,
welcome.
Tanya. And thank you, Rita, for the guidance.
Mhm.
And we have a question from Annette. Are there many different relationship experiences, such as people reflecting what we need to work on versus learning how to help someone else, etc.? And is there an easy way to discern the difference? I believe you just answered part of my question.
Well, relationship. Oh my gosh. Well, I think that I was in this life. I believe that my husband, his name is Bill. We've been married for 36 years, 37. Oh my God, it's a long time. We got married in 1987. But I used to joke and say that like I hated him for the first 10 years or something. But um, it was me. It was me trying to figure myself. I didn't know who I was or what I wanted in life. But with relationships, I think that in my own specific instance, that Bill was brought into my life to help me solve that question, that problem about relationships, because the primary relationship starts with yourself, right? You have to love yourself. You have to appreciate yourself and to prioritize yourself. So I think that when I forget how you worded that question, but when we are working on relationships or you believe someone's kind of reflecting back to you something that you need to work on, that is true in the sense that you need to understand what you're feeling in response to what they're triggering in you. Like for me, I had feelings of like, oh, he's always trying to control me, or oh, he condescends to me, or I should be free, I should not be tied down. These were all my own feelings of restriction that had come from wherever they came from. I think I projected a lot of it onto him. And so that caused friction in our relationship. But it took my awakening and constantly asking for help about this relationship to get me to this point now where I see him as an individual human being. Again, the eyes of compassion click in. And I've been able to, over the years that I've been working on myself, say no I never thought that I could say no to people. I was a yes person, a people pleaser, if you will. Like, oh, okay, yeah. And then, you say yes to things that you don't want to do. And then later you're resentful and angry and you're like, "Arr." But people, the relationships that we have in our lives are definitely lined up, I believe, either karmically or we designed it for ourselves as something to learn from. And if it does anything, I think it allows us to feel what we're feeling and then question it. Why? Why is that behavior triggering me? It's always about yourself. You have to learn, wait, what is it? Why am I reacting this way? Why am I allowing someone to make me feel this way? Why don't I just stand up for myself or say no or just reject it? So relationships they're very complicated but they're fertile ground for learning a lot about yourself. And when you do begin to trust yourself, love yourself, respect yourself, those kinds of interactions, they just sort of drop away. They go away because they don't resonate anymore, if that makes sense. The minute I started to respect myself, I felt that I was presenting myself in a different way. And thus, I was now receiving respect in the way that I wanted it. When I made that known and I said, I don't like when you speak to me in that way. I'm better than that. I deserve better than that. And also, a lot of it can be just, again, the things that we kind of make up in our own minds to justify what we want to believe about a person. I did that too. I made him into kind of like the boogeyman so that I could kind of blame all of my bad behavior on him or the way he is. And again, these are some deep life lessons that some of us have to learn with relationships. I used to look at other people and go, how come they look so happy together? Oh, look, they have fun. They respect one another. They're not yelling at each other. It was a jealousy. There was jealousy in there. There was all kinds of things that I was repressing that I needed to just work through. So I think it's difficult to discern the way you word question, whether it's somebody reflecting something to you or something that you need to work on. I think it all boils down to yourself. You have to work on yourself and your relationship with the self first and foremost, and always put yourself first. It's not being selfish, it's being correct and balanced. Because if you deny yourself in order to make another person happy, you're only going to ruin your own happiness. Really, you cannot control what will or will not make another person happy. You know what they want from you. If you choose to give it to them, give it to them, but do it because you want to, not because they want you to. It's really, it comes back to the self and just really loving yourself first, prioritizing yourself first. And for some people like me, who's always been a people pleaser, afraid to say no, says sorry too much, that was a big hurdle. But I made it. I'm there now, and I can honestly say our relationship today is better than it's ever been in the 30 plus years we've been married, because this was something I needed to work on this life, and I'm thankful that we've reached this point where we can really now just enjoy one another. So, thank you for that
Yeah,
question.
yeah. That was beautiful, very inspiring. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rita.
Yeah.
And it's your beautiful answer. Thank you. Uh, Tanya, me too. People pleaser. Beautiful. So, Linda wrote suggestions for protection for the super sensitives when doing global and quantum group things. Thanks.
Okay, so you're looking for suggestions for protection when doing these kinds of work. And that's a great question again. I had to learn a little bit of the hard way that you do need to protect yourself. So once again, I lean back on my angels. That's another thing. Let me clarify. So I started out by connecting with angels. It was something that was my entry point into the world of spirit, if you will. So my friend introduced me to angels. I started reading books about angels. I read a book about how to talk to angels, and it worked, and it happened, and it blew my mind. Then this idea of guides came in. And now when I channel for myself or for other people, I'm talking to what I call the guides. Your guides can help in this. Your guides and angels can help you set a structure around yourself, energetically speaking, that will preserve your purity and light as you open to assist others. I like to think of it almost like a shield of light that's around you, and then there's little tiny holes, almost like a sieve or a colander or something that you would strain something with, where you allow to move out from you all your light, all your healing, all your joy, all your beneficial intentions, and it reaches where it needs to go. And then when something's coming at you, or you're feeling like somebody's wanting too much from you, it kind of hits that shield. So it's a one way out, no way in, unless what's coming to you is beneficial and of the light. So I work with Archangel Michael on that. I always say, surround and protect me, allow only good, positive energy to come to me. Let me be a pure, clear channel of divine light, love, and energy, and let the highest good for all involved be the end result. So when you do that, you're basically, again, it's a conscious intention that you're setting and saying, come in now and surround me. I'm employing the angels. The angels, by the way, they want to be put to work. They are here as our guardians, but so much more, really. They're here to help us achieve our life goals, what we set out before we were incarnated. Before each life, we have a council. We decide what we're going to learn in this life, where we're going to be born, the parents, the circumstances, the situations. We do a lot of detailed planning before we come down here. And when you're there, when you're not in physical form, when you're in really a state of bliss or a state of all knowing, you forget what it's like to be human. So just like a human forgets what it's like to be divine, the divine kind of, oh yeah, we can accomplish this. And you might set some really high goals for yourself in this life that when you finally incarnate and you come in and you're like, oh my God, did I ask for this? Why did I plan this for my life? This is terrible. I don't want this. The angels are like a gift to us. They are our heavenly helpers, and they can help in so many ways. So if you did want to do any kind of work with opening up to help heal groups of people, or do any kind of spiritual work where you're opening and sending it out, just before you do that, just call your angels, specifically Archangel Michael, surround and protect me. Let only good, positive energy come to me. Um, Let me receive, good positive energy. And when I send it out, let it be received in the most beneficial way possible also. There are some people that would bristle, believe it or not, at receiving some kind of beautiful intention because they're not ready for it or they're not there yet. So in another way, I also say when I want to send healing to someone who's maybe a bad person, they're just people who do bad, send healing to someone like that and say, hold it for them because they might not be open to it. It's the same thing with Reiki healing. You have to kind of set that intention. I'm open and I'm ready to be healed. Heal me, help my body heal itself. So definitely employ the angels. And anytime you do anything, just call them in and imagine yourself surrounded with some kind of protection that allows your goodness to go out where it needs to go, that prevents any harmful energies from entering you, and that can help filter those things so that you are only receiving what is beneficial and light for you, if that makes sense to you. I hope that does.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Thank you very much, Rita
Yeah.
and Linda. She wrote beautiful. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh. And just to
And
add on, some people do
yes,
like to work with crystal and energy, crystals and things like that. So,
yes,
if you wanted to wear a crystal that you find helps protect you, it can really be any crystal you can program to do what you want it to do. Many people suggest that the darker stones, like obsidian or black tourmaline, um, anything of a darker nature, sodalite, dark blue stones, that those are the protection stones, but really any crystal can be programmed to do what you want it to do. So if you have a favorite crystal, something that you like, an amulet, a pendant, a ring, just, take it out in the sunlight, run it underwater, clear it first, hold it in your non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, so for me it would be left-handed, and you just set an intention that let this crystal uh, be with me to protect me, to dispel negativity and energies that are not for my highest good, let it be so. And you wear that. So then every time you put it on and you go out into the world, if you have to go to a party or some place where there's a lot of people, if you're very empathic, put your crystal on, set your protections around you, and feel that energy is doing its job for you. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rita. Linda again wrote,
You're welcome.
awesome. Love that too. Uh,
Thank you.
Beautiful. So a question from Tina. She sent it to me directly, so maybe you will not see it. Uh, are we able to connect with our departed loved ones for a quick message? I have had some loved ones that have recently crossed over, so anything would be grateful.
Oh, I appreciate that question, but in a setting like this, I typically don't channel deceased loved ones in a group setting like this. That would be something we'd have to do one-on-one. Again, it's because it's very personal, and there's too many energies involved right now. It may be confusing for them. So if you wanted to email me or go on my website, it's ritastrough.org. I'd be more than happy to do a session with you over Zoom, and we could connect that way. It's with mediumship, again, because this is like I was saying earlier, it was hard for me to figure out, like, what am I? What am I doing? I don't consider myself a medium. I know mediums. My good friend Lisa Millerisis is an amazing medium. She was born with that gift, and from a very young age could see beings around people, and that's her gift, It's mediumship. It's always there. It's on. With me as a channel, we need to sit together. I need the name. I have to hold it up in my field and begin to connect with it. So it's a process, and I wish I could do that for you here. I do. I love to serve, but with mediumship, I can't do it in a group setting. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hope you
Uh,
understand.
yeah, Tina shared, and that is what I thought. Yeah. So Tanya shared, is cleaning the crystals in softly water good? Salty
I'm sorry, say
water.
that again.
Is cleaning the crystals in salty water good?
Oh, well, I don't proclaim to be a crystal expert, so what I would check and do some research on that. There are, well, I know sometimes I like to swim in the ocean with my favorite rings and things like that. I don't know if salt water will damage the crystals at all. I know that salt is considered a purifier. Like if you wanted to, in fact, again, my friend Lisa, the medium, when I was first awakening, this goes back to 2005 or six. My father had passed away the day after Christmas in 2005. And so I think it was like maybe a few months after that, Lisa was doing a group mediumship circle. And I think I had started connecting with angels. Maybe it was later than that then. I was already working with angels at this point. I was in her group thing, and she starts getting messages, and she goes, "Rita, I have a message. I hope you don't take offense to this, but you need to take a bath." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, you've been opening yourself up doing this energetic work with the angels, and you need to take like a salty bath." So, like, consider your body is almost like a crystal as well. And so I did that. I used like a cup of Epsom salt, a cup of baking soda, whatever she told me was the little combination. And I soaked in a tub, and you could almost feel the energy getting cleaned out of your body. So maybe you know more than I do about that. But when I cleanse my crystals, I usually, the ones that can tolerate water, I rinse under clear water. And then I like to put them outside in the sun or under the full moon to get that moon bath. There's other crystals like selenite that do not like to be wet at all. So you have to check and see. You can lay these in a bowl of rice, put them out in the moonlight or in the sunlight, and that'll cleanse your crystals. You can also use like a crystal bowl or a metallic, like a Tibetan bowl or chimes, like a sound frequency rang over your crystals can help move the frequencies out of them and cleanse them up. But yeah, the salt water, that made me think of that time. She said, "You need to get in the bathtub." I'm like, "What are you saying? Do I stink?" She goes, "No, no, your energy is getting a little stagnant." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I learned so much in like, God, the first 10 years of my awakening was just like constant learning. I learned so much from so many people. And that helped me understand, again, who I am, what I'm doing. And a lot of it came from the angels too, my guides just telling me what to do. I used to always do a little invocation before every reading. And I felt like I had to do that to set my protections, to call on the angels. And then I was channeling Saint Germain, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, for this gentleman named Peter Dennis, who has he works with channelers, and he was interviewing Saint Germain through me, which was really cool. That never happened before. But it was one of those situations where it was like, oh, okay, what do I have to do next? Like, what do I have to do? And he was like, first of all, you don't have to do that invocation anymore. Saint Germain was telling me, I know you think you need that, but you don't need to do that anymore. And I'm like, can I keep doing it though? Because it makes me feel good. And it was like, oh yeah, sure you can. Just like when I first started talking to angels, I used to get this real sharp, like goosebumpy chill, bring that would run up my body. And then the more I did it, the less I was getting these goosebumps. I wasn't getting it anymore. So I asked my friend, like, what is going on there? And she said, you've raised your frequency, so you're not feeling it anymore. And I'm like, well, what if I need it just to validate for myself? She goes, well, then ask them to keep doing it. So I said, well, can you guys keep doing it? And they do. So now when I connect, and if I get something, I tell people, I feel it on my legs now. Like when something's coming through and I know it's validated, it's true. I'm like, I'm getting the goosebumps. Trust me on this one. I still have to work on my own, I guess my trust, right? I still need these little validations to help me feel like I'm on track, I guess. It's a very human thing, but
Yeah.
I don't judge myself about that anymore.
Yeah.
Thank you for that
Beautiful.
question.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. Thank you, Tanya, for the question. And so also, I would love if you can tell us about the one-on-one session you are offering to our audience. So we have 30 minutes one-on-one session. And I invite everyone to visit the link, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Rita, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Rita, RITA. Or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live event page, later on the replay page. The link also on YouTube video description and on the chat boxes. I will put them on the chat boxes on Zoom and YouTube. So yeah, Rita, I would love if you can tell us about this session.
Oh, yeah. So I offer half hour and hour-long sessions, and I think the one we're offering in this special is the 30-minute half hour one-on-one. But in a one-on-one session, you can get quite a bit of information in 30 minutes. So we basically would meet over Zoom, and then we create almost like a energetic connection between each of us. And it's an opportunity for you to ask questions of whomever, your guides, angels. I can do mediumship in a half an hour. Sometimes an hour is better because I always say it's a mixed bag. You're never quite sure how it's going to work. It depends on the person on the other side, if they're comfortable, if they've done this before, if they're quick with it. Other times it takes a little bit of getting them on board with it, and then I have to work with them to get the information out. But yeah, so you could ask questions about your health, your career, love life, whatever is important to you, any aspect of life. If you're going through a spiritual awakening and you have a lot of questions about what's happening to you, we can dig into that. For me, it's an amazing experience of really getting to open the doors to what is around and available for you. And it comes to me through images. I get images, I get words that come through. Sometimes it'll come out like a channeled being would speak to you. But if we're just connecting to talk about whatever's going on in your life, it's a connection, a heart-to-heart connection. And we're able to kind of almost like merge our fields together. And then you ask your question, what is it that you want to know? Even if you don't know what it is you want to know, we can do a session where you say, I don't know, whatever they want to tell me. And then I'll go into my heightened state. We'll connect and I'll ask on your behalf what these questions are. And then they bring those questions and answers to you. And then it's an ongoing conversation. So it's been very helpful for many people. I constantly hear, and this is not to toot my own horn, but it's amazing. It's amazing what comes through and how it comes through. And sometimes it reveals something perhaps you would have never thought about before. Sometimes it's information that it's just time for you to hear now. Um, there's not a lot of like predicting the future. Sometimes people want to know what's happening in the future, but that does come up at times. If people are asking about something, if that's the question, sometimes they may show me like a calendar and then I'll begin to see where something may occur for you. Um, it's just an amazing process of connecting with your own spiritual support team, which includes your angels, your guides, any benevolent beings who are working alongside of you, your higher self, your body's higher self, any spirit animals. There's sometimes things that come up from a past life that can help explain what's happening or your question in the present moment. It's a mixed bag. I never quite know how it's going to work, but your guides know what you need to know and understand. So they'll use the channel that we provide to give you those answers. And sometimes it's just I've had people who the guides will say, stop what you're doing. I want you to do this attunement or healing. And they'll launch into something. Maybe have you close your eyes and do something. So again, it's a little unpredictable, but it's predictable in that you will receive what is most important for you at that time, at that moment when you're asking your questions. So I would encourage you. It's a special price for right now. And if you like it and it helps you, that's all that I care about. I just want you to receive what you need to know right now. For me, it's not really a lot about the money. It's about being of service. So that's more important than anything right now, especially in today's world. We're experiencing a lot of heavy energies right now. And if I can help you in any way, please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to do whatever I can to help you on your journey. That's why I'm here. I love to be of service, and it's an honor and a privilege. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rita, for being available to our
You're
audience, for
welcome.
offering the one-on-one session. And so everyone, I really recommend that you sign up for the session. You can sign up on the page yourdivineuniqueness.com/Rita, yourdivineuniqueness.com/Rita, RITA, or you can click on the special offer button, which is on the live events page, later on the replay page, and the link also on YouTube video description and the chat boxes on Zoom and on YouTube. And Rita, thank you very much. That was quite inspiring call.
Thank you, Monsef. This was
Really lots.
wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you very much. And also everyone, thank you for being here with us today, for sharing with us this time and your beautiful energies. Thank you for those who asked their questions and for the comments. And so with that, I'm sending you so much love and I will see you on the next call. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.